Back home now, and there are calls for Australia to be more self-sufficient when it comes to fighting fires. During the Black Summer fires, more than 1,000 people from North America helped out, bringing with them vital resources. But as fire seasons merge, there are doubts now over whether we'd be able to share resources with the US in future.
I think that the foresight of the outgoing RFS Fire Chief Rob Rogers was the right one, and that is to invest in infrastructure owned by taxpayers in the state so that if we need it, even in periods when we're not expecting it, it's ready to go.
Craig Lapsley is an expert in emergency fire management here in Australia. Craig, how does it work at the moment when we talk about firefighting resources that we share with other countries? What are we talking about exactly?
Hi, Rove. Well, there is agreements in place for firefighters that can be deployed from Australia across to other countries, in particular Canada, and that's occurred only in the last number of months. So there's those resources. I think the challenge though, Rove, is the big aircraft. So where you've got big aircraft that operate in the Northern Hemisphere in their summer, and then they come south to the Southern Hemisphere to Australia in our summer, that's a challenge because now we've got longer fire seasons, we've got more frequent, more intense extreme weather events, which means we have more bushfires that need this sort of resourcing. So those shared resources or the shared agreements, they certainly would need to be reviewed as a result of this to make sure that if you're relying on something from the Northern Hemisphere, will it come? Because you can see California is not going to change now. Like they're going to have a 365-day fire season ongoing if they haven't already done that. So the big challenge is, I think, about aircraft, and particularly that's contracted. The majority of it is contracted and comes from the Northern Hemisphere into the Southern Hemisphere. So that's got to be one issue. However, when you say that, Rob Rogers, who's the Commissioner of New South Wales Rural Fire Services, led the way and made sure that New South Wales purchased a large air tanker, so a 737 that lives in Australia, and also a very large helicopter that lives in Australia. So it's not as if we haven't thought it through, it's just is two enough for Australia, and you'd suggest it's not, because all the rest is contracted. So well done New South Wales Rural Fire Service, but the other states I think need to get on the back of it. And the other one, Rove, that's there is the federal government this year for the first time funded a large air tanker and a large helicopter that's in country for about 6 months. Now that's the first time the feds have stumped up money to give that capability. So it's not as if we're in the worst position, it's a matter of learning and being better than we are today, and there's still some opportunities for improvement.
Now, seeing how things have happened in LA, the devastation there, is there anything we should be taking from that about fire conditions here?
Look, I think one of the key things is to understand that it's not just a summer event. We're going to see, and with the climate that we're having, the climate change, the issues around weather events, more frequent and more intense fires will occur, and they're going to be out of season. They're going to be out of that traditional season. So they'll be earlier, they'll be later, the seasons will be longer, and we need to accept that as Australia, that these things are going to challenge us. And I think it's too easy to fall back in that it's a summertime problem. LA is a little different. LA is a city that's built in a desert, and their winter is still 28 degrees. They wake up to it, so it's not as if they have freezing cold weather in the LA environment. It's still a very much a beach resort across LA and San Diego, that part of California. The interesting thing that California has really had, and that's been there for years, is these Santa Ana winds. And the Santa Ana winds come late. So the normal summer in LA is hot, dry, but not as windy. And then the winds come November, December, January. So that the Santa Ana winds are well known in LA, and people that live there know all about them. And the other day they did put out red flag warnings. I think where they may have, if I've been watching it, the updated warnings where the fires are, what people need to do. And it's one thing to say evacuate, but where do you go? I think those are the challenges. So there's some learnings that we can learn from there. But on the same token, I think LA might still learn a little bit from Australia as well, because there's some things that have been well and truly developed here because of Victoria and New South Wales, reviews of recent years. So we shouldn't be scared to offer up our knowledge and our advice in the nicest way possible to help LA and the Southern California people understand what we've done, and we've done some things different.
Sobering stuff, but thanks for your insight, Craig.
Thank you.